Every single day, your mind is being trained, not by teachers, not by parents, not even by your own thoughts, but by an invisible system living inside your phone. A system designed to control what you feel, what you believe, what you desire, and even who you become. You think you're scrolling for entertainment, but while you scroll, your attention is being harvested. Your emotions are being manipulated, and your identity is slowly being rewritten. The most dangerous part, most people never realize it's happening. They wake up anxious. They compare their lives to strangers. They lose focus. They lose confidence. They lose the ability to think deeply. And they call it normal. But this isn't normal, because social media was never built to protect your mind. It was built to keep you addicted. Every notification, every short video, every algorithm is fighting for one thing, your attention. And whoever controls your attention eventually controls your life. Tonight, we're going to expose the hidden psychology behind social media, why millions are becoming emotionally exhausted, mentally distracted, and spiritually empty. And most importantly, how to take your mind back before the system completely programs the person you become. The most powerful technology in the world today is not artificial intelligence. It is the ability to influence human behavior without people realizing it's happening. Social media understands one truth about men that most men never fully understand themselves. A man's deepest fear is not failure. It is invisibility. The algorithm studies that fear every second. It watches what makes men stop scrolling, what triggers anger, what creates desire, what feeds ego, and what awakens insecurity. Then it delivers more of it, not to help men grow, but to keep them emotionally reactive. A man opens his phone for 5 minutes and leaves with comparison, frustration, temptation, and self-doubt living quietly inside his mind. The most dangerous manipulation is the one disguised as validation. Men are constantly shown images of success, power, luxury, status, perfect bodies, and unrealistic lifestyles because the system knows men are biologically driven to seek respect and significance. Women experience a different psychological pressure. They are targeted emotionally through beauty standards, attention, social approval, and emotional comparison. But for men, the programming attacks identity itself. It makes average men feel weak, behind, replaceable, and unworthy unless they constantly prove themselves to the world. The algorithm does not care about truth. It cares about engagement. And nothing creates engagement faster than insecurity. The scariest part is that most people now confuse algorithms with reality. Men begin shaping their opinions, relationships, ambitions, and even masculinity based on repeated digital exposure. They slowly lose the ability to think independently because their emotions are being trained by patterns they never consciously chose. Every swipe becomes psychological conditioning. Every viral trend becomes silent social pressure. Every notification becomes a reward system teaching the brain what to crave next. The most valuable thing you own today is not your money, your car, or even your time. It is your attention. Because whatever holds your attention eventually shapes your thoughts, your habits, your emotions, and your future. Social media companies understand this better than most people understand themselves. That is why every platform is designed to keep men emotionally stimulated and mentally distracted for as long as possible. A distracted man is easier to influence, easier to manipulate, easier to sell to. The modern world no longer fights for land or oil the way it once did. It fights for human attention because attention creates control. The most successful platforms are built on psychological triggers that target male and female behavior differently. Men are often pulled in through competition, status, controversy, desire, and dominance. Women are more often drawn through emotional connection, beauty standards, validation, and social comparison. But both are tracked inside the same system, a cycle of endless stimulation that slowly weakens emotional stability and independent thinking. Men especially begin losing the ability to focus deeply because their minds are constantly rewarded for speed, reaction, and instant gratification instead of discipline and patience. The frightening reality is that many men no longer choose what deserves their focus. The algorithm chooses for them. It decides what they fear, what they admire, what they chase, and even what they become emotionally attached to. A man who cannot control his attention eventually loses control of his direction, his confidence, and his identity, because the mind always moves toward whatever consistently consumes it. The human mind was never designed to consume hundreds of thoughts, emotions, images, and opinions every hour. Yet that is exactly what constant scrolling forces the brain to do. Social media trains people to live in reaction instead of reflection. 1 second, a man is watching success. The next second, anger, then comedy, then fear, then desire. The brain never gets silence long enough to think deeply about anything. And without deep thinking, people stop questioning their choices, their habits, and even the direction of their lives. They become emotionally busy, but mentally empty. The modern man is slowly losing his ability to sit alone with his thoughts. That is dangerous because deep thinking is where discipline, purpose, emotional control, and self-awareness are built. Constant scrolling weakens those abilities by rewarding speed and stimulation instead of patience and focus. Women experience a different psychological effect. Endless comparison culture often creates emotional pressure around beauty, relationships, and social approval. But for men, the damage often appears through mental distraction, emotional numbness, lack of clarity, and reduced ambition. A distracted man may still look functional on the outside, while internally losing his sense of direction. The most powerful minds in history were shaped in silence, reflection, and concentration. Social media destroys that environment by conditioning people to crave constant dopamine hits every few seconds. Notifications, short videos, and endless feeds train the brain to avoid boredom at all costs, even though boredom is often where creativity, wisdom, and real self-discovery begin. The business model of social media is not built around your happiness. It is built around your attention. And nothing captures human attention faster than insecurity. The moment people begin doubting themselves, they spend more time searching, comparing, reacting, and consuming. That is profitable. Platforms know exactly how to trigger emotional weaknesses because insecurity keeps people emotionally attached to the screen. A confident person is harder to manipulate, but a person constantly questioning their worth becomes predictable. The modern man is constantly shown images of power, wealth, perfect physiques, luxury lifestyles, and impossible standards of success. The message is subtle but relentless. You are not enough yet, not rich enough, not attractive enough, not respected enough. Women experience a similar psychological pressure through beauty standards, validation culture, relationships, and social comparison. But for men, the attack often targets identity and status. Many men silently measure their value based on what they see online, even when they know those images are edited, filtered, or exaggerated. The comparison becomes automatic because the brain is being conditioned every day. The frightening part is that insecurity has become a product. The more anxious people feel about themselves, the easier they are to influence. A man who feels inadequate buys more, reacts more, scrolls more, and seeks more validation from strangers. Social media understands human psychology so deeply that it can turn emotional weakness into engagement and turn engagement into profit, while people slowly lose confidence in who they truly are. The most dangerous addictions are the ones society celebrates. People recognize addiction when it destroys someone physically, but they rarely recognize it when it slowly controls someone mentally and emotionally. Social media addiction hides behind normal behavior. Everyone scrolls, everyone checks notifications, everyone reaches for their phone without thinking. That is what makes it dangerous. When unhealthy behavior becomes culturally accepted, people stop questioning the damage it creates. A person can spend hours online every day and still believe they are fully in control, while their focus, emotional stability, and self-worth quietly weaken in the background. The modern man is especially vulnerable because social media feeds directly into male psychology. Men are naturally driven toward achievement, recognition, competition, and status. Platforms understand this deeply. They constantly expose men to images of power, success, wealth, dominance, and unrealistic lifestyles because comparison keeps men emotionally engaged. Women face a different psychological trap. They are often pulled into emotional validation, beauty standards, social approval, and relationship comparison. But both men and women are trapped inside the same cycle, chasing digital stimulation to escape emotional discomfort in real life. The frightening truth is that addiction no longer looks destructive on the surface. A man can sit in his room, scrolling silently, while his ambition slowly disappears. He may still go to work, talk to friends, and appear functional, but internally he is becoming emotionally dependent on stimulation. The brain starts craving constant dopamine hits from short videos, likes, messages, and endless entertainment. Silence begins to feel uncomfortable. Deep focus feels exhausting. Real conversations feel slower and less exciting than digital ones. The most powerful addictions are the ones that reprogram behavior without creating immediate pain. Social media trains people to avoid boredom, avoid reflection, avoid stillness, and avoid facing themselves. Every moment of discomfort is instantly escaped with another swipe, another video, another distraction, until people lose the ability to sit alone with their own thoughts. The greatest battle of this generation is no longer happening in the outside world. It is happening inside the human mind. Every day, millions of people wake up and immediately hand their attention to algorithms before they even hear their own thoughts. They begin the morning consuming other people's opinions, lifestyles, emotions, and expectations. Over time, people stop building an identity from real experience and start building one from digital influence. The danger is not just that social media distracts people. The danger is that it slowly tells people who they should become. The modern man is under constant psychological pressure online. He is surrounded by images of success, dominance, money, luxury, perfect physiques, and endless competition. The message is repeated so often that many men begin believing their value depends entirely on external achievement and validation. Women experience their own version of digital pressure through beauty standards, emotional comparison, relationships, and social approval. Both are being psychologically shaped by systems designed to keep them emotionally dependent on attention and validation instead of emotionally secure within themselves. The strongest people are not the ones who consume the most information. They are the ones who can protect their focus in a world designed to destroy it. A man who cannot control his attention eventually loses control of his discipline, his emotions, and his direction. Constant scrolling trains the brain to seek stimulation instead of purpose. It weakens patience, deep thinking, and emotional resilience because the mind becomes addicted to instant rewards. People begin reacting to life instead of intentionally living it. The frightening reality is that many people no longer know what they truly think, truly want, or truly believe without digital influence guiding them. Their confidence rises and falls based on likes, views, comments, trends, and online approval. They compare their private struggles to other people's edited highlights until insecurity becomes normal. Silence feels uncomfortable because the brain has been conditioned to fear stillness and crave constant stimulation. The people who reclaim their minds are the people who learn how to disconnect long enough to hear themselves again. They create distance from endless noise, protect their attention, choose real-world experiences over digital validation, and stop allowing algorithms to shape their identity, emotions, and self-worth.